Thanks for coming today. Let's talk a little bit about the Catalyst learning path, 5 stages of mindset and skills development. So this is the learning journey that is posted in the community forums, in the Catalyst forum under Mindset. So last week on Thursday, we actually showed you how to enter the CCI Academy, go to the forums. You can download this mindset, you can download this learning journey there. Now I'm thinking that maybe this isn't posted there and I get to get it over there. So this is the learning journey, 5 stages, easy to reference. We hope you'll print it out and just commit it to memory, only because it helps you focus on one thing at a time. And what are those things? Let's talk about each phase real quick so that you can get a sense of how that learning journey works. So stage 1 is all about preparing kind of how you think about this work and getting ready to change your behavior to work in a way that is more engaging, more collaborative, more inclusive, more tangible, right? This is why we bring the mindsets in so early. It's also why we bring the collaborative cycle in early. So stage 1 is all about learning the mindsets. We have 2 weeks for this. So the first 2 weeks we've been doing mindset journaling. And you should also be attempting to run collaborative cycles with your colleagues. And it's the practice that matters. It's not that you know exactly how to do any of these things before you do it, but this starts to get you, this is the other behavior, is you try things before you're comfortable with doing it. And that's a huge aspect of being a catalyst. And so stage 1 is all about getting ready to do that and be comfortable with taking uncomfortable steps, if you will. Okay, so stage 1 is prep. Stage 2 is our longest stage at about 5 weeks. And we really emphasize this because this is where you're going to spend time understanding the context of your project. And the reason we do this is so many people look at the world with their existing way of looking at it, all their assumptions, all their prior experience, all the solutions they already have in their head, all the things they already think, and they go right to, let's fix it this way, let's fix it that way, and they go right to solution mode. Well, stage 2 is about showing you that the world is far more interesting and nuanced, and there's a lot more information that you don't know about, that if you did, you could design a better solution. And what's a better solution? A better solution is one that is adopted by the people for whom you're designing, that improves metrics that you're measuring, that includes people, that grows equity in the community, that achieves the goals of the project. That's what a successful project is. And you can't do one of these projects without really looking at your context and understanding it in a much deeper way. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is taking everything you learned and framing what your challenge and opportunity is, and then starting your ideation against that framing. And so you're not going to try to solve everything you find out, but that you find out a lot of things, you're able to look at the problem in a more rich way and decide, hey, this looks like the best place to really focus our creative energy, our solutions, and our ideas. And so you'll frame it up, and then you'll start ideating in stage 3. That's 4 weeks. So another good chunk of time to figure out how to come at your project and start creating ideas. Stage 4 is about testing your ideas, about bringing them to life and testing them. And so we do this because we don't want you to spend and invest a lot of time in a direction that ends up not being adopted by people, so by the people you're designing for. So what do? Well, you figure out very low cost and fast ways to test it and to bring it to life first and to test it. So we call these prototypes, mock-ups, quick solutions, and it doesn't take much to figure out if there's value in the direction you're trying to move. So prototype and testing. And then the 5th stage is building support for your idea. And that requires a much more effective type of communication. Communication for exciting people about the direction, getting them not to question so much as saying, how can I help? And start adding things. And this is building support with community members. This is building support with senior leadership. This is building support with a broader community of colleagues in your organization. So that is your Catalyst learning journey. 5 stages. Each stage you get to focus just on that thing. So these past 2 weeks, you're just focusing on mindset. I know you're worried about what you're going to do down the line and how you're going to solve everything and what we're going to be getting ourselves into. Well, now you have a little peek into what we're going to be doing, but it's very important that you focus each stage on the thing that we're focused on, because it's important to the Catalyst way of problem solving. And your coaches who are here as well, for example, Tabitha's here. I just see her saying hi. They help you with this ability to focus on the area and say, oh, don't worry about that yet. You don't need to jump the gun and start figuring out what your solution is. Okay? So the learning journey should help you figure out or see where you're going while being comfortable focusing on a single stage. Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask if there's comments and questions or thoughts or observations. I'm going to say hi to some more people. Hi, George. Hey, Melissa. Great to see you. Laura's in the house. Veronica, hello. If you have any questions about the learning journey, throw them up there. You guys are about 45 seconds behind me, so it's going to take some time to come through. I can always play some music. Hi, Loon. Nice to see you. Oh, Sun. Excellent. Thanks, Lun. Like sun with an L. I love it. And your picture looks like the sun. Bright, smiling face. Welcome. Thanks for being here. That's great. Okay. No big questions about the learning journey. I hope that's helpful. Hey, Billy. Hey, Micheline. Hey, hey. I love it. Love it. Okay. I'm just going to keep going, and we'll leave for a lot of time at the end for questions as well. So that's your learning journey. So now I want to talk about the important thing of sharing your work for feedback. And it doesn't matter how small the step is that you're taking in your work. And these are pictures I'm going to show you from prior, I'm not sure, they may be from last year. So you may see yourselves here, or it might be from the year before. I apologize. I'm not sure which archive I grabbed it from. I think it's a year prior. No matter what stage of the work you're in, your ability to sketch something out quickly and share it and show it to your colleague really generates a lot of momentum for your project. It helps you think through what you're doing. It helps you get feedback and broaden your thinking. It invites diverse voices into your project to react and talk about what they're seeing. And you can see in this picture that it creates joy. When people are truly collaborating, when somebody's pitching an idea and other people are saying, oh, I really like what you did there, or I wish you'd consider something like this, or I wonder if we could do that. Yeah, that's the 2019 cohort. It generates joy because you're engaged in thinking in the work and shaping something. And there's a skill in this that's both sharing, well, there's 3 skills: sharing the work, receiving feedback, and giving feedback. Okay? And those are 3 distinct roles. Now in the sharing, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to do that, as well as giving and getting feedback. But what you can see is, no matter the stage, we're sharing. And so you'll see these types of pictures all the time in Catalyst work. And this is what you should be doing. In fact, if you look in the background here, what do we got going? There's George, who always makes an appearance in our presentations. But he's engaged in somebody sharing their work back there. And back there, she's listening and pitching her work and sharing and getting feedback. And then obviously in the foreground of the picture. So the more sharing and feedback you can do in your project, the better your project's going to be. The more people you can expose to the ideas, the more buy-in you're going to have in your project. Because when people are involved in a legitimate way, when their voice is heard and your ideas change based on what you're bringing in from everybody who's involved, the work gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So let's talk about sharing your work early and often. No matter how small the step of work, you'll benefit from sharing with someone else, okay? No matter how small the step. It could be, hey, I'm thinking about doing a collaborative cycle that we're supposed to be doing this week for our Catalyst project. Can I talk to you about what I'm thinking, and then let's set up a time to do it? Like, it's always this idea of getting exterior input. It helps you articulate it, and it helps other people share. Can I share something with you? I'd love to get your feedback on this. I have a rough outline of our research. Can I share it with you? Right? So this is you opening up and inviting feedback. So as a catalyst, you have to model this behavior. And I will tell you, when you start modeling that behavior, people will start attracting to you and wanting to work with you. Because what does it show? Is that you're sharing ideas and you're getting the feedback. And what you really want to do is you're not trying to convince everybody that you're right. You're sharing that rough work quickly. And it's kind of straight through without a lot of reflecting in the middle. Don't change your mind midstream and be confusing for the other person. Just kind of share it. And then stop and listen. Stop and listen. Let your partner formulate thoughts and provide feedback to you. This is such an important behavior, and it builds great relationships in the team and gets you the kind of feedback you need. Now, receiving feedback, this is where you hear things back from other people about what you just shared with them. Listen, listen, listen. That's your primary goal, is to get as much diverse feedback as possible. Encourage others to say more about what they're sharing back. So don't react right away when somebody shares and you say, actually, that's really interesting, say more about that. No matter what you think of it. Oh, could you explain that more? Say more. That's a powerful way to bring additional content and get everybody else thinking through it with you. Don't defend your work. Seek to understand the other people's point of view. Put others' ideas into your work. So in Catalyst, when we're together, people are handing you sticky notes with their feedback, and it's great when you pull it and that is really awesome, and you put it up on the board, and you legitimize their input. You legitimize their feedback. You welcome it. And that creates, again, a stronger working relationship between you. Think about the difference between that and going, oh, I don't know if you're right about that. Oh, I don't agree with that feedback. You can keep it. You never do that. The whole idea is to welcome feedback and be inspired by that feedback you're hearing. And it could be all sorts of things that are being said. Because after receiving all the feedback, that's when you can go and make your work better. And you can figure out what things are adding value and how you can incorporate it, and how to make the work. And go, I didn't even realize some of those things you were saying. Now, giving feedback is just as important as the person receiving it. So your first job is to listen to what they're saying without judgment, because what you're trying to do is make their work better. And so you're not going to sit there and say, do I agree or disagree with what they're saying? You're listening to what they're trying to communicate, because you're going to try to help them be better at what they're doing. You write down things that catch your attention, that aren't clear, or maybe are contradictory to what their goals are in what they're talking about, right? And so you're looking for things that don't kind of make sense to you, and you're going to share that with them. It doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. It means that you're trying to listen and you're going to try to make their work better. So you're trying to be helpful. And you're not trying to convince them that your ideas are better. This is another thing, right? You're not arguing about whose idea is right. You're just sharing what you're thinking. And we encourage, I think you guys know this, we encourage a framework to start out with until you get good at this, of I like, I wish, I wonder, or especially if you're working with somebody who isn't used to receiving feedback, this is a nice way to do it. So let's talk about what that framework is. I like, I wish, I wonder. It's a simple framework, but it's very effective. Sarah Kerr does a great job of modeling this behavior. When we taught this, she just grabbed it and she does it all the time, and she does it with extreme expertise. So if you have her as your coach, you're going to be picking her brain on this. So I like. Share what resonates with you about what they're talking about. Share what inspires you or share what you love about what they're trying to do. I wish. Talk about what would be helpful to see or know given what they're talking about. This is a step before you're offering your ideas. It's really saying, I wish there was something more in there that helped me understand what you're talking about or helped me understand this aspect. So it's, I wish. And then finally, I wonder. These are possibilities that you see to possibly make the work better. Again, none of these are saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that. It's all about offering value, offering perspective, offering a different voice for their work. So in Friday's work session, we're going to practice this a little bit. That's why we're talking about it. So you'll work on a few things about your project first, and then you'll share it with other teams, and you'll have 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes with your team to work on something. 15 minutes is nothing, right? But you'll put down some content about your project, and then you're going to share it with another team. So we're going to practice this. So you can write these down now too to get a jump on Friday. So what is your project topic and goal? Who are the people involved and affected by this project? What activities or people's experiences do you need to understand? And why are you excited to pursue this project? And what challenges do you feel you face in pursuing it? So I'm giving you a little framework here, and we'll repeat this on Friday. I'll probably share it again on the Q&A on Thursday. But we're giving you a little framework to explore your project topic, because I will tell you everybody is kind of in that early stage of their project it kind of has a title and a purpose, but they haven't started talking about the different dimensions of the project. And this is your first practice to do that before we start research in the next phase. So let me know if this whole notion of sharing your work is helpful. I see a few comments coming in. Let's look at that. Come on. There we go. Oops, I wonder if I skipped a slide. No, I didn't. I think I had a couple extras. Okay, so remember this feel of sharing work. It might feel awkward initially, and I know you guys have been practicing last year a little bit when we got started together. So continue that. Continue that feel of writing down some rough ideas, sketching out a presentation, doing a bullet list, and then sharing it with somebody else and getting their feedback. So let me take a look at what you guys are talking about. Yes, George is going to, sorry, George, but you're becoming the photo bomb picture meme of Catalyst Virtual 2021. I love it. Kathleen sharing a great comment here. I don't want me up there, I want that up there. Get back over there. I got cables hanging. Share your work early and often, provides feedback on direction, creates faster progress. Yeah, that's really the odd thing, is doing this speeds your progress up. And often we think, well, I'm just going to work on it by myself until I get it right. Except it's never right, especially that first time you show it to somebody else. So why not short circuit that process? Why not short circuit the idea of getting feedback from others, right? Yeah, Tanisha, awesome. You legitimize their feedback, absolutely. That whole notion of welcoming. This is how you incorporate diverse voices. People who haven't had the chance to be asked about their thoughts on that issue, experience, framework, how you're handling things today. And that's what we're going to be doing at the first step of research, is really inviting people to share with us their experience. Nice. Oh, nice. Maria Elena. Oh, I accidentally pushed George. Cough, cough, elbow cough. Maria Elena. Actually, it's a great topic and relevant to the work we're doing right now. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Nice. Okay. As you can see, the time flies when we're on these streams, or I'm talking way too much and you guys tell me you're repeating yourself too much. Make it faster. Let's go, Chris. Come on, we got to get through this. Again, I'm happy to share and be here with you, trying to bring some great teaching to this project that we're doing virtually. So I can only try my best, and you guys have to give me feedback. So I'm welcoming any feedback you have about going too fast, too slow, etc. Remember, after our session today, we have one on Thursday. Let's talk about our third topic of the day, which is bringing equity to your project. A few principles and references being developed today. Now, I will say that I just have to do this. Marilena is coming in with the awesome comments today. We all learn from each other. That is 100%, 100%, 100%, 300% correct. Love it. Okay, so I will say, I've mentioned before that Catalyst has always been inclusive and trying to aspiring to be inclusive and bringing diverse voices and having you guys bring diverse voices into your project. And we used to call that user research, user co-design and participation, right? Well, this year we're bringing equity in a big way because it's developing in a big way in the field of design, and you guys are designers. So I want to make a point here about design's role in equity and justice. Because the things you're learning, catalyst mindsets and principles, it does have some history in the design field. And the design field has a lot of history of elitism and white supremacy and working more for corporate interests than community interests. But design is waking up, and it's woken up in a very big way over the last couple of years, and I have some wonderful organizations to share with you today. But the basic premise is that the outcomes of a system are what it's designed to do. And so those outcomes are most of the time intentional and sometimes unintentional, but you have to be aware of both. Again, remember we're doing 5 weeks, or you should spend a good period of time understanding your project. That's where you can lower the risk of unintentional consequences of your solution directions because you know more about the context. So in systems, in places, in services, in products, in every aspect of daily life, where there is inequity, there is poor design. And so we must design equity into our new solutions. And I'll repeat it, you guys, as catalysts doing projects where you're trying to design new things, new services, new ways of interacting, you are designers, and therefore you have a responsibility. I've just been made aware of this. I am no expert in this yet, but Sasha Costanza-Chock has written a book called Design Justice, and it's an exploration of how design might be led by marginalized communities, dismantle structural inequality, and advance collective liberation and ecological survival. She has, and I'm just starting going through this book, but she's making the point that design has a huge responsibility when you're designing buildings, cities, community parks, centers, services. When government agencies create services, we have a responsibility to not only serve people, but to reduce the inequalities that exist. And it has led to the Design Justice Network, which I encourage you to look up. I think there's a chapter in San Francisco. But the Design Justice Network are local practitioners getting together to make sure that they're abiding by, first signing on to some principles, and then abiding by that in their work. And I just want to real quickly, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to come over here. I want to flip over to this. And so this is the designjustice.org website, which I encourage you to visit. And I'm going to go through the principles they have real quick. I'm just going to scroll through them because we don't have a ton of time. But I will make note that they've made them available in a variety of languages for better access, which we highly aspire to in our Catalyst content and overall CCI's content. So we're working on that. But as you start reading some of these principles, you can see that there is a sense of building it into one's work. So we use design to sustain, heal, and empower our communities, as well as to seek liberation from exploitative and oppressive systems. We center the voices of those who are directly impacted by the outcomes of the design process. We have all been involved in designing things, no matter how simple, for our organizations, in our communities, where we have not invited the voices of those who we're designing for into that process. If you're a justice designer, a designer for justice, you won't do that anymore. You will strive to bring those voices in. We prioritize design's impact on the community over the intentions of the designer. Absolutely. I actually subscribed to this from the beginning. I couldn't believe when I would see early in my career, like designers saying that they were right while a client was saying, I don't think that's going to work with us. And the designer would be like, you don't understand how brilliant I am. I'm like, what are you talking about? If it doesn't work for the person you're designing for, what are you thinking? Well, that's the elitism that design had for many years. So it needs to be said that we prioritize the design's impact on the community over the intentions of the designer. Absolutely. I like these too. We see the role of designer as facilitator rather than expert. The experts are the people who are in the community who you're designing for, because it's their lived experiences that will adopt a solution that's appropriate. And they know solutions that will work for them. So I would encourage you to go to the Design Justice and check these out. But before that, I actually, let me go back here. I'm going to be sharing, when I finish here, I'm going to be sharing some links to what I'm about to go over. So first of all, Design Justice has these little PDF zines that the first one, this first one on the screen is just a really short one, but it shows that they got people together and talked about what Design for Justice is all about. And it just has lots of comments about what Design Justice is. Nice to browse. The second one has case studies, this one. It has case studies of projects that were done with community. And I think they're very inspiring, and you should take a look at them. And again, I'm going to paste the links into the chat at the end. And then Justice, this one is authored by the author of Design Justice, and goes over the principles of the Design Justice Network. 3 great resources for you. And one of the people featured in the Design Justice case study, and somebody who we were inspired by last year and are bringing into the program this year, is Creative Reaction Lab in St. Louis. Antoinette Carroll is the founder. She moved from Ferguson, Missouri, just before the events in Ferguson. I apologize, Michael, I forget the gentleman's name, who was murdered by the police. Anyway, she's a designer, and she founded Creative Reaction Lab. And they are pursuing equity-centered community design. And I have their equity-centered community design field guide that they allowed us to share with you. You can download it from their website, but I am putting you a link to it. And they have a model of equity-centered design that fits perfectly with what we teach in the Catalyst program. So it's hard to read this diagram, but in the center is the topic or scenario of your work. And then before the problem solving starts, or I should say the way we start with problem solving is to take a look at history and healing first. What is the history of this work, and the history of the community, and the history of the people for whom we're designing? What trauma have they experienced? What is the nature of their world? And then you go out a level and start dealing with acknowledging and dismantling the power constructs that are in the system, that are built into the system, that has allowed this problem to exist. Lack of food in a community. Criminal justice system that's highly inequitable and causes so much inequity in every other aspect. Housing, employment, healthcare. So you have to look at that and acknowledge what how the system is constructed, so that you may be able to break that down. And then you can see on the outer rim, there's some of our mindsets and the methods that we're talking about. So building humility and empathy, defining the community needs, ideating approaches, rapid prototyping, testing and learning. So those are compatible with our phases, but this core of their model is what we're bringing in this year. So human equity is when outcomes are not predicated based on someone's identities or characteristics, whether race, sexual orientation, gender identity, ability, or status. So an example scenario is your community is a food desert with only the corner candy store and a bodega. You want to lead a movement to bring more food options while continuing to support the locally owned small businesses that have been in the community for decades. So who do you invite and what will they do at the meeting? What are the community roles of the candy shop and bodega besides providing food? Did the community previously have grocery stores? When and why did they leave? What is that history? So this is an example of a scenario that is in the equity-centered document that I'm going to be handing out, toolkit. And they also have example exercises for all these, which I encourage you to take a look at and potentially run at your organization, whether it's part of your Catalyst work or not. So this is an example of building humility and empathy, and they have a eyes, ears, mouth activity.